Hi, loves. Today I wanted to talk about relationships and the realizations in the should I stay or should I go now? Sorry, it makes me think of a song. Should I stay or should I go now? Anyway, realizations and making the decision, and also what you can do moving forward to help yourself through this. So I wanted to talk about different realizations that came up when I was thinking about this subject. If there's anything you want to add to this, please add it below in the comments. So the first thing that came up for me was self-medicating. There were times in some of my relationships where I knew things were going south, and in the process of realizing what those things were, I needed a glass or two of wine a night, or maybe I had a piece of cake, something that comforted me and made me calmer while I was trying to make this decision. Another realization is that you blame yourself for everything. You always say, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? I know it's my fault. I know that we're in this situation because I did something, right? So I want you to take a look at that. That is not the truth. Both people are in this relationship together, so it's not one person's fault. It's not blame on one person, and you should not feel guilty for things that you did not do. Also, making excuses for your significant other or your spouse. I found myself at times making excuses for the person that I was married to. I was afraid to really say the truth about who they were and what I was going through because I was embarrassed about it. So making excuses was also another realization that it's time to look at the relationship that you're in. If you are also spending more time away from the home because you don't want to be there, that's another thing to look at. I would sit in the parking lot for an hour before I would go home because it wasn't where I wanted to be. So not feeling bad for that, but also doing what you need to do for you. If you needed that hour, take that hour. If you're growing apart and you know you're growing apart, there's a lot of things that have shown you that, right? But it's also making the realization that this is what is happening. So some people will have conversations about it. Other people will not have conversations about it. It's important for you to continue to be speaking to each other. And if you're not, it's harder to get that started. So have a conversation. Sit down with the person that you're with and talk about where things are at. Talk about what you really want in a relationship, and maybe talk about how things have changed since you've been together, and try to have an understanding with each other. Speak with love and respect for the other person. Let them say what they miss. You talk about the things you miss, but let it be a conversation. Don't let this be a time of pointing fingers and being defensive, right? It's important for you to really hear what the other person is saying too. So say it and let them repeat it back to you so that they understand. Then decide, can we do this? Do we both want to do this, right? If you both don't want to do it, that already shows you the path that you're leading down. So if you both decide that you do want to do it, then it's up to you to get counseling, talk to a therapist, talk to a coach, maybe go to a marriage encounter or something that will help you build your relationship back up so that you can then move forward, right? That's what you want to do. And if you have already made the decision that you don't, then you already know. If somebody has cheated in the relationship, that's another big one. Some couples can work through this. Some couples can move forward and there's not the blame. But chances are that doesn't generally work. So if somebody has cheated, there is a conversation to be had around this as well. Why did they cheat? What was happening in the relationship, or what wasn't happening in your own relationship? Something that they missed, or something that they used to have, or maybe it's just who they are. So it's important in these cases too to talk to a coach or talk to a therapist and find out how you can heal, how you can move forward if you want to. And if you don't want to stay together, it's also important for you to get the help you need whether you were the person who cheated or whether you were cheated on, to understand and to know that it didn't have anything to do with you, it was about the other person. If you married for the wrong reasons, it could be another realization that you've come to, that you were afraid. You were afraid. Maybe the fear took over that you didn't have a choice. You had to marry somebody, otherwise you were going to be alone for the rest of your life. That you weren't worthy and deserving, and there was nobody who was going to want you. So you got married just because you didn't want to be alone. And now you're in a situation where you would rather be alone. Another realization is abuse. So emotional, mental, physical abuse. If this is happening in your relationship, it's time for you to make the decision to get the help that you need and to leave. So I want to talk for a minute on this because this is a little more serious. If you grew up in a family where there was abuse in your family and that's all you knew, so you go for people who are abusive, no matter what that is for you. If you're in this relationship, you're constantly beat down, okay? If you make the realization that it's time to get out, that you don't want to be doing this anymore, and maybe it's not even a realization, but you've heard friends and family say to you, what are you doing? It's time for you to get help. Find a therapist that can help you. I can assure you that if you don't get the help you need to change the pattern that you're in right now, you will continue to go from one relationship to the next that is abusive, okay? You are worthy and deserving of an amazing relationship in your life. So take the time that you need to see somebody, to talk to a therapist, realize what it is that you're doing, the decisions that you're making, what happened in your childhood that now you're repeating these patterns in the relationships that you're in. So please do that for yourself. I also want to talk about fear, and fear can keep you where you're at for a really long time. I know I let fear lead my life for a while. So fear of what people will say, fear of family, fear of what your children will say, or how people will look at you, right? She's divorced. She left her husband. She left her whatever. Don't allow people to get in your head. You don't know what they're really thinking, and it's none of your business, okay? So this is about you and what you want, and that you want changes in your life. So it's about you not allowing the fear to take over, okay? The ego is going to try to keep you where you're at. It's about keeping you safe. The ego keeps you safe, but it's not safe to be in a place that is not good for you. So sit and listen to your heart, okay? Take a minute to sit, put your hands on your heart, take a couple of breaths, right? Just sit and be calm for a minute, and then ask yourself the question that you want an answer to. Don't allow the mind to tell you what that answer is, because the mind will tell you lies, okay? Listen to the heart. The heart will tell you what the truth is, and that's what you want. You want the truth. So if you've had hard conversations, right? These conversations can be hard to have if you're looking to leave a relationship and move forward in your own life. You have to both want this, okay? If you both don't want it at the same level, then it's not going to happen. Maybe you want it a little bit more, and he's pretty much there, but he just needs that one step, or she needs that one step. So speak up and have these conversations, right? Otherwise, what's the point? You're in a relationship with this person that you love and you chose to be in a relationship with. So if you're not talking about the things that you want and not talking about what the things that the other person wants, and coming to some sort of an agreement and some sort of way of living, I don't understand what the point is anymore. And it's also about not telling yourself a story. Okay, so it's easy to tell ourselves a story. I'll give you an example. We all have triggers. One of my triggers when I was married was, if I saw a pretty girl and I knew that my husband was looking at her, it was a trigger for me. And I knew this trigger would tell me that he would leave me. He's going to leave me for this other person. Okay, and then I was in my mind and I was telling myself this story about what was going to happen. I could see it. This trigger happens. I go inside myself. Now I'm in my head and I'm saying, he's going to leave me for this prettier woman, right? And now I've taken it where he's moved out and I'm living on my own. You see what I'm saying? Like, this story can go down a whole different path, and it's not even the truth. So understand yourself and understand the triggers that you have of your own. Okay, don't take what he says in a way that he didn't mean it. Okay, that's important. So pay attention to your triggers, and it's up to him to pay attention to his as well. So these are some things now that can help you with this decision. If you've already made the decision to leave, take a minute, okay? Take maybe a couple days, maybe a week. Are you leaving for the right reasons? Okay, so we can listen to what's happening inside ourselves, right? As long as it's the truth and you're not telling yourself a story about what is happening, okay? Take a minute to look inside yourself. Again, sit if you need to. Take a few breaths, put your hands on your heart, and then listen to what your heart is telling you. It's also a good idea to step out of yourself. Step out of the situation and look in at what is really happening, right? Have I been in this situation for such a long time now that I've made up all these stories, right? I'm saying he's a bad person, she's a bad person, they don't do X, Y, and Z for me. But maybe you haven't had conversations around that either, okay? So take a step out of it and look in with love in your heart and respect for the other person and with a fresh mind, okay? And then, different things will come up. Listen to what the truth is, though, okay? Because if you've been hurt and you're defensive, that's where you're going to go. That's where your mind's going to go, to all these things that have been horrible in the relationship, okay? None of the things that have been good. And there is also a lot of those things. So just listen to your heart and then be honest with yourself, okay? Take a minute to self-assess. Is this a story? Am I telling myself a story? Am I lying to myself? Okay, that doesn't feel good, and it's not in your best interest. So just take a minute to realize what that is. And you also don't have to think and think and think about the decision. If you're doing these things and you know for sure, there's not a question, you've assessed it in a lot of different ways. I know what that feels like, because I used to think and think and think, is this the right thing? Should I do this? I don't know, maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, we're gonna do, no, I don't know. Okay, so we can go on and on and on. So you don't have to think and think and think. Follow your heart, know what you want to do, and then you take those steps forward. We can easily say too, when we're doing this, he's not a bad person, or she's not a bad person. Okay, it doesn't mean that they're a good or a bad person. Okay, so you don't stay just because you say, well, he's a good man, or she's a good woman, she's this and he's that, and okay, that's good, that's the truth, but it's not where you want to be anymore. Because you ultimately already know, right? Okay, so listen to yourself and don't let fear allow you to stay in that place, because you can stay in that place for years and years and years of thinking and thinking and thinking, and it doesn't do you any good. So if there is abuse, we talked about that, okay? Please take the time that you need for yourself. Love yourself enough to make the decision to do this for you. Another thing is, you may think that you can change the person that you're with, okay? The person that you married is still the person that you married, okay? If you married somebody to change them, that's not going to happen. If they see that they need to change, and it's up to them to make those changes and those decisions to make the change, then they will. Otherwise, they are who they are, and you're never going to be able to change them. It doesn't matter how hard you try or how aggravated you get, because they won't listen and they won't change, okay? So know it's up to them, and they may never change, and so you need to decide if that's a place that you want to be and have the conversations, right? So now that you've made the decision to leave, there's a few things that may help you to move forward. Okay, so first of all, if you and your significant other or spouse have decided that you both decided that it's not going to work anymore, and you both want to move forward, so it's about making that decision together. And when you make that decision together, then you are also there for support for each other in some respects. So make sure when you're going through this, to make sure you're doing it with love and respect for the other person, okay? If you are sitting in a place of being resentful and bitter for what the relationship wasn't, it's not going to be helpful while you're moving forward with each other, okay? So you're both going your own ways. Be there for love and support and help each other through that if you can. If you can't, then do what you need to do and move forward, okay? And you can still do that with love and respect for what your relationship was. If it doesn't work that way, and you know that it's time for you to leave, okay? And you're the one who's decided that you want the divorce, and you ask for this, the other person is hurt, right? They're not in a place where they want to have anything to do with you moving out. So it's about making a list, making sure that you are thinking about the things that you need to take care of, because now you're going to be on your own, okay? I don't mean on your own like nobody's around to help you. Get with a coach or a therapist. Find out things that you're not thinking of that could possibly happen. I mean, you're going to be going through your own emotions, right? Even though you've made this decision and you know that it's what you want to do, you're still going to have your own emotions. So make a list of the things that you can think of, and then talk to a therapist or a coach about maybe what you can expect. You're going to have to think about a car or a house or an apartment. You're going to have to find an apartment and get utilities set up. So the most organized you can be, if you can be organized at all, it will help you, because given the emotions that you're going to be going through, to just know that you have some control over the things that are happening will be helpful for you. And during all of this, I want to say, please be kind to yourself. Okay, you're going to go through some emotions that maybe you haven't been through before. So the love that you have for you and the kindness that you have for yourself, and knowing that you did this for you. You made the decision to leave because you didn't want to be where you were anymore. You knew that that wasn't the kind of life that you wanted to lead until you're no longer on this earth. So it's a beautiful decision, okay? Know that it's a beautiful decision, and that you are taking control of your life and your destiny and what you want moving forward, right? Make sure that you're getting the help that you need. Make sure you're understanding why maybe you made the decision to be in a relationship that you knew wasn't right for you to begin with, okay? So be kind, be nice, figure that out so that you don't take this into the next relationship that you're going into, okay? Take time for yourself. Be kind to yourself. You are a strong and brave person, okay? You are strong and brave. It takes a lot to make these decisions, okay? But you made it. So take the time that you need. Be kind to yourself. Self-care is big right now. Self-care is good, is all the time important, okay? But right now, self-care is extra big for you because you're going through so much. So love yourself. Be kind to yourself. Self-care. Take a bath. Walk in nature. Meditate. Listen to music. Do something that makes your heart feel alive, okay? Do something that fills you up, because this is the time that you need this, okay? Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Be kind. Be kind. I love you. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I'm sending you all such amazing love and energy for the decisions that you're making and for the place that you are in your life. If you feel you want to get together, have a phone call to try to see how we can work together. Private message me and I'll get back to you. Thank you. I thank you for your time.